Monday edition Pro Football Talk Live. Chris Sims, Mike Florio, and Chris, we were talking about the importance of getting the physicals done for the DeAndre Hopkins-David Johnson trade. There's another element that is similar to this. It's the free agent deals that are done but that aren't done because the physicals aren't done. There are several guys out there, and we're going to put a list together later today, meaning I've got people that I've told to put a list together for me because I'm too lazy to do it. But there are guys out there, right? Let's say you are a receiver and your deal isn't done yet and you haven't had your physical yet. And the team that supposedly is signing you has a guy fall into their laps in round 3 that they didn't think was going to be there. First round prospect fell down the board. There he is. We got to have him. Now they revisit their desire to employ the older and more expensive veteran that they have a tentative deal with. And all of a sudden, when the physical is finally performed, there's a problem. And the doctor who is paid by the team to do, and I know that some people are like, oh, how dare you? No, this is how it works. The doctor is paid by the team. If the doctor wants to continue to work for the team, the doctor has a way of figuring out what it is the team really wants here. And for anybody who's played in the NFL for any number of years, you can find a way to fail the physical if you really want to do it. And there's a concern that some of these physicals are going to come back failed, and you're going to have guys thrust back onto the market long after the money has been flowing.
Yeah, I mean, that would worry me, yes. I mean, specifically if you're not a blue chip type free agent that way, right? You know, and yes, all right, like to your point, somebody in the second, third round, the team's got a first round grade on them. Whoa, we got that guy. How about later in the draft? What if it happens twice? What if you got a first round talent and you got them early in the third round, and then there you are in the fifth round going, wait, another receiver that we had a second round grade on is sitting here in the fifth round. We should take him too. You know, that to me is a very real possibility, let alone we're already seeing little signs of this in free agency, Mike. I know you and I were talking about this during the commercial where we've seen a few teams do the failed physical designation, and we've seen other guys signed at the position for a lesser price right away. So that would be really scary to me. It's bad business. I mean, this is to me where the NFL needs to get involved, Mike, here and protect the players a little bit. They do. I mean, it's not right that way. And I would be very worried if that's going to be a bad look. And I'll be sitting here pissed off come Monday after the draft if there was a team that agreed to a deal with a player. Not all the details got figured out. And now they had a player or two fall their way in the draft. And now they try to get out of the signing of that free agent player. To me, that's bad business, shot below the belt. And that to me is shouldn't even be allowed. That's where I would hope the NFL would get involved.
Factual statement. The Raiders failed the Eli Apple physical, defensive back who had been with the Saints, a former first-round pick of the Giants, and then signed defensive back Demarius Randall for half the money that they were going to pay Eli Apple. Now, was there any shenanigans going on? I don't know, but there's plenty of shenanigans that could go on. And also, the Rams, they've announced officially the return of Michael Brockers. He's passed his physical, even though he failed his physical or was going to fail his physical with the Ravens. And meanwhile, Leonard Floyd and A'Shawn Robinson are still not officially done, haven't had their physicals, and I've had people around the league telling me, you wait and see. One or both of those guys is going to get the rug pulled out from under them by the Rams eventually, and until then, the Rams are basically squatting on these guys. So this is a weird, unprecedented time, and this is a direct result, Chris, of going forward with the league year in the face of this pandemic that has kept people from getting their physicals done the way they ordinarily would be done. And you've got guys who are in limbo, who may be thrust back out onto the market, and who may never be able to sign that contract that was going to pay them a significant amount of money.
Well, yeah, it's not a good look. I mean, and you're right. You know, I would want to know, did the Raiders sign an Eli Apple and then Demarius Randall? Oh, he's available for this price? Okay, the heck with that. Let's give him the failed physical designation. You could also say that about the Baltimore Ravens. Listen, they did the failed physical designation with Michael Brockers, and then, correct me if I'm wrong, a few days later signed Derek Wolfe, right, for far less money. So was that something that came onto their radar late, and then all of a sudden they said, man, this Derek Wolfe guy's a pretty good guy, pretty good player. You know, we just watched the film here. Why are we paying Michael Brockers $10 million a year when we can Derek Wolfe for $3 million a year? let's try to get out of this. I didn't think we're going to have to franchise tag, Matt Judon, and we did that. And now we got Calais Campbell. Let's see if we can get out of this and finagle our way to where we don't have to pay Brockers. Let's give him the failed physical designation. Did that go on? See, to me, that is something where I do think Roger Goodell, the NFL, has to start some precedents there about protecting the player and their rights a little bit.
Well, and I just think this is one of the things that really didn't land on anyone's radar screen when they decided to go forward with this draft, or not with the draft, with this free agency process, without realizing that you're going to have these deals that aren't officially done, and you have this window to. Now, I guess a player who's upset, like an Eli Apple, he could file a grievance, I assume, and say, I'm perfectly fine. They should have passed me on my physical. It would go into an arbitration setting, and maybe the end result would be, hey, Raiders, you have to pay this guy what you were going to pay him. So I assume that the players have some sort of rights if they really want to push it. But their primary objective is find a job, find a job, find a job. But maybe when the dust settles, you go back to the Raiders and say, you were in the wrong to fail me on my physical. You owe me the difference between what I'm getting and what I would have gotten if you had honored the contract.
Well, yeah. I mean, especially if he gets signed by another team for less money and then they pass him on his physical. I mean, to me, that's weird. So, again, I don't know all the details of how that went down with Eli Apple and Michael Brockers. We haven't really heard those stories yet. But, yeah, that's a very dicey situation in general and just bad business overall by teams and the NFL as well. And I don't know where it goes. I mean, to me, I almost want to say the NFL needs to implement a rule to a degree. Hey, listen, if you commit and got a contract agreement with a player and an agent, nothing can be done until the physical is complete or whatever it may be. You can't release the player. You can't do anything like that. You can't, and I don't know. There has to be some guidelines.
But if he fails,
I know.
Yeah, I know. We're spitballing here. But until the guy passes the physical, the deal isn't done. And until they have truly independent doctors doing these physicals, there's the potential for the GM or the coach to make it known to the doctor, we really want this guy to not pass his physical. And, Chris, that happens.
I know it does, and that's bull crap. I mean, yeah, you're going to find anything on anybody. You could find a guy that's never been hurt in the history of his career and start going, well, I don't know, this shoulder or this knee looks degenerative. I don't know if it's going to hold up. And you're right. They can make up any excuse at all. And that's to me where I go back to where the NFL needs to do something to protect the player here. It doesn't make sense. I mean, how can Michael Brockers, go to the Rams and, he passes the physical and everything's good? I just, I don't get that. And that's just not good. That's not a good look for me. And the NFLPA needs to watch over that.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.